All right, folks, welcome back to Purple Friday Show. It's just me today. Everybody else is busy, but show goes on. Back in town from vacation and Thanksgiving. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving last week, and we're on to Christmas season. So we did get. I mean, for all those on the East Coast, we did get our first snow today. So that was nice to see. I think it was about an inch on the ground. So, which is, I think, for this area is actually quite rare. It's been a while since we've had snow this early in December. So it will be nice to see maybe, we get snow for Christmas. My son, hasn't really been able to experience snow for Christmas. We've seen snow like, during the year, like in January, February, but very rarely is, for Christmas. But at the end of the day, I don't think he really cares about the snow during Christmas. I think he cares more about the presents and stuff that he gets, so everything else like that. So um, yeah. So I mean, look, I'm not going to go over this past game of the Bengals. There's been enough talk about that for the last week or two, and it was funny. I was heading out of town Friday morning. I remember turning the game off. I think after the um, was it a fumble? I think it was a fumble. I think it was a fumble, and I turned it off. Or was it? It might have been the pick. I can't remember which one it was. It was the second turnover of the game. They had five during the total game, and I'm like, I fell asleep. I went to sleep right before halftime, and then they turned the ball over another three times in that game against the Bengals. And up to that point, the Ravens weren't even really out of the game. They were in the game, but I think Nate Wiggins went out with an injury. Weezie also went out, I think, with an injury, so they were down cornerbacks. Um, so I can't really blame the defense. They've been playing well most of the second half of the season since the bye. But I think it's just the fact that the offense has been so, mediocre. And I can't even say mediocre. They've been bad. They have not been good at all. Um, and it's just going into here we are Steelers week, right? This is usually a big week during the season. I can remember, I think a lot of us have remember these Ravens teams and Raven Steelers, being when I was still living in my, parents' house, living near the city. And you would see, I mean, there are people who don't know this area. There's a lot of Steeler fans that live in Baltimore. There's a lot of them that live in Maryland in general. And Raven Steelers week was just, co-workers, wearing their gear, wearing scarves or neckties, whatever it may be during the week, talking trash during the week. You'd see flags on people's cars and stuff during the week, and it'd be the whole atmosphere. The NFL loved it because it was a new rivalry ever since the Ravens took over. They made the AFC North, and the AFC Central dissolved, and they put the Ravens and the Steelers together. It used to be the Ravens and Titans, Ravens and Jaguars. As there used to be those rivalries in that division. But when they got Ravens Steelers, the black and blue division they used to call it, or maybe they still call it. And our games have historically been within 3 points of each other. There's always these tight games, usually for playoff implications, usually for the division. But for the most part, at least most of the part I've been around, they've been really good teams. There was no question of them who's going to the playoffs. It was a matter of who's going to get a home game, who's going to be the wild card, who's going to get that home game maybe in the first round or win the division and maybe have the number one seed in the conference and stuff like that. It used to be big stakes. I don't know about you guys, but it does feel to me like this time around, and I think the last couple of years, to be honest with you, it hasn't felt the same. It doesn't feel like the Ravens fans in the area I live in now appear to be that enthused about Steelers week. I mean, I'm listening to the radio. Not a lot of people are still talking. More people, I think, are talking about the Ravens offense and how bad they've looked versus, are the Ravens going to beat the Steelers? It's like with how the Ravens have played, it just feels like, and I'll say this, I think I've been hearing the same with Steelers fans. They feel the same way about their squad. We're both have the same record. We're both 6-6. And there was an article I saw the other day about there's a, I think in Vegas going around that they believe that either us or the Steelers will be able to win the division with a losing record. They believe at this point that we're going to be one of those teams. I think, remember several years ago when the Seahawks got to the playoffs with was it a 7-9 record, and they ended up beating the Saints in that wild card round. But they went to the playoffs with a 7-9 record, won the division, won the NFC West with a 7-9 record. We thought that was never going to happen again, but there's some stuff there chatter out there. They believe that it's very possible that the Ravens or the Steelers could win the division with a losing record, which was, I think, would be like the cherry on the top. It's like the toothpick with the little flag on top of it inside of a crap sandwich. Like, it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't feel the same this week. We see Lamar. He practiced on Wednesday, so I think a lot of us got excited. I don't know if the Ravens are trying to pull an okey doke on Ravens fans or somebody, because the last 3 weeks, Lamar has not practiced on Wednesdays, so that's become a thing. I think he's not practiced, and then he practiced this Wednesday, but was out on Thursday, but now is back at practice today. So I'm like, I don't know why. Did he tweak something on Wednesday or something? Because they said he was limited on Wednesday. I got the notification that said he went from healthy to questionable, so he wasn't a full participant on Wednesday. So I'm like, I don't know if they were trying to pull an okey doke or something to satisfy fans' questions or something like that. I'm not sure what the deal was, why they ended up doing that. But so Lamar is still limited. Kyle Hamilton, that man, he's looks like he's gonna be a go for the most part. Let me get through this injury report real quick before I get to other news. Yeah, Lamar, again, he's been dealing with this injury for him. I think he's been criticized enough during his tenure. I think especially during was that 2020 and 2021, where he was down the last few games of the season due to ankle injuries or some kind of lower leg injury, and fans criticized him for not playing. But now fans are criticizing him because now he's playing hurt. He doesn't look right. He's not running. And so now they're criticizing him for like, why are you playing when you just put Tyler Huntley in there? Well, it would be the same team. So I'm like, you can't win for losing kind of thing. So Lamar's trying to gut through it, realizing, they got to get done. They can get done. They've been able to win. They were able to win 5 straight games with how bad that offense looks at the bye week. It finally, the wheels came off against the Bengals, and the wonder is if do you turn around. And so the vibes going into this week are, I don't think a lot of fans expect the Ravens to win this game. I know it's at home, but I don't think the vibes are right now that the Ravens fans expect to win. Like I think the perfect thing to highlight of why Ravens fans don't feel good vibes about this week in general. Look at the Mark Andrews contract signing. I think it was that yesterday. 3 or 4 years ago, when Mark was up for a contract extension, we were worried that we might lose him because the Ravens were dragging their feet. We didn't know if we were going to be able to re-sign him, blah, 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 and all that good stuff. And we ended up signing. We were all excited. I think we were all great. Oh, man, Mark Andrews is here. Then I think the next year we get Likely. So we're excited about this 2 tight end tandem that we've always been used to, especially when you look at, the success they had with Dennis Pitta and Ed Dixon, during their Super Bowl run. So we were excited to see that. 3 years later, and now Ravens fans are looking at this Mark Andrews signing like, why did we resign Mark? Like they look at why did we resign Mark Andrews? And I saw the comments like, oh great, we just resigned a guy that, cost us a playoff game. A guy that fumbled the ball twice. He didn't catch the ball in the 2-point conversion, and he fumbled in the middle of the field during that Bills game. They were like, great, we resigned that guy. They're like, yeah. Like there were people who were like, oh, the Ravens are, if they're fine with being good, then that's a good signing. But he's not a great tight end. Like he's decent, but he's not good. I mean, I remember fans saying this was Mandrews. He was arguably the best tight end in the league, saying he was the top 2 and he's not number 2. Like I remember those talks of people saying that Mark Andrews was the best tight end in the NFL. And now with this signing yesterday, a lot of fans aren't happy. I'll say it's 50-50. It may be 60-40. But I feel like just a little over the majority of fans are not happy with this re-signing of Mark Andrews. They're just not. Even though he broke the record, I think last on the Bengals game for most receptions, I think by a Ravens receiver, he beat Derek Mason's record out. Fans are like, whatever, no one cares. And like I think with the tight end play we've had since in our history of Todd Heap, Ed Dixon, and Dennis Pitta, I think the Ravens fans are like, yeah, we don't care. It hasn't resulted in anything. All these yards and stuff that he gets in the regular season resulted in anything because we look at his postseason stats and he's nowhere to be found. If anything, it's negative. He's got fumbles on his record. He's got tipped interceptions on his record, and balls that hit his hands, and the defenders grab the ball. He's got that in his record. So he's got dropped touchdowns. He's got dropped conversions on his record. So I'm like, no one really cares what we done in regular season at this point. So the vibes, especially from that play, from that signing, if the Ravens are reading the room like, oh man, we're not in good straits right now. And now people are worried about losing Likely, but also at the same time, because Likely, since coming back from his injury, whether because of scheme or whether because of whatever, he hasn't been playing 100% either. So a lot of fans are like, we might as well just, get off of him, let him go walk somewhere. Maybe they tag him. I don't know. But yeah, the vibes are just weird going into this weekend. It doesn't feel right. And I'm thinking going into this game, the Ravens Steelers game, I'm thinking going into this game, the Ravens crowd is going to be on like their line for what the BS they're going to deal with is going to be very, very thin. That line, you're going to be able to break it with your hands. Like you can't cut it with, you're going to be able to just do this. And that's going to be that thin, that line. Like if the Ravens on their first drive go 3 and out, the fans are going to be ready to walk out. Like the fans are just not going to stay there and kick it. The Ravens fans are going to stay there as the story. They're going to sit there like, here we go again. Like what are we doing here? Like what are we doing? So this kind of segues into my next topic real quick. Let me just go to some comments real quick. What Corey said. It would be one thing if they just having him a bad season, but everyone is. Yeah, and that's the thing about Likely. I don't think it's just him. Everybody on the offense looks bad. Derrick Henry hasn't had a good year. Everybody on the O-line, even the ones that were good, Stanley, Linderbaum, I think even Voorhees, like no one's having a good year this year. Zay's having a down year. He fumbles the ball. Bashard Bateman is not having the year we expected him to after the year he had last year. Where's Tez Walker? Haven't seen him around. Yeah. I don't know what it is. You feel likely he's going to the Chiefs? Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. They need to replace Travis Kelce anyway. I wouldn't doubt it. They would. I think they would do damage with Likely there, and another tight end damage with him. That would be crazy work. So this is my next segment here. Is it Lamar or the scheme? So there has been a lot of talks, and I've seen stuff in the Sun paper recently about reader commentary saying that Lamar has no incentive to play better because he has all this guaranteed money coming in next season. I think his cap hit next year is somewhere around $60+ million. The cap hit is ridiculous. So they're going to have to work out some kind of restructuring. There's no way they can carry $60 million for one person on the cap. They just can't do that. But the notion that Lamar has lost the will to play or be competitive and act like he's not been hurt. Like we all can, it'd be one thing if Lamar was still running. Like if Lamar was still taking off and running and getting 60, 70 yards rushing a game or 100 yards rushing a game, but the passes were off, that this was off, blah, blah, blah. Then I could hear that. I could hear that, Lamar's passing has regressed. But that's not the case. Everything's regressed. Lamar's not seeing the field well. He's not doing his reads well. It feels like Lamar is seeing ghosts to be honest with you. It does feel like Lamar is when he just feels like somebody's going to rush him. So he's getting the ball or he's holding the ball too long. He's not trusting his legs either. I think I was listening to Steve Smith on his show on YouTube, and he was talking about, what it is to go through a hamstring injury, how do you get back from that? And I think fans don't understand that when these injuries happen, this isn't video game football. These are real people where injuries, when you're tearing a major muscle group or a major muscle that you're using that's a good part of your arsenal, what makes you great. Imagine Peyton Manning tearing his rotator cuff in his throwing arm. Like, for Lamar, especially, it's his legs. He has been a better passer, but it's still the threat of him being able to run is the reason why Lamar is so feared in the league. And I think fans need to understand that. Like, they're like, oh man, Lamar sucks because, you didn't want him to play hurt. Now he is playing hurt. Now he's not playing well. It is what it is. I also think attribute that to, Lamar. Sorry. Let me rewind. Let me go back to what Steve Smith said. So Steve Smith was saying, when you're going through hamstring injuries, and he said he's been through one or two. He said when you're going through rehab, he's like, rehab starts immediately. Like, as soon as they identify what the issue is, rehab starts immediately. So he's saying a lot of times when these guys get to the facility, they get there maybe an hour or 2 hours early before everybody else. They got to get rubbed down. They got to get massages. They got to get heat, pressure, ice, whatever that is, depending on the injury they put on their, leg or whatever to do that. And then they said they have time to go to breakfast. Then they got meetings. Then they have some other stuff. Maybe they have team meetings, and they'll have position meetings, and then they go right back to treatment again. So he's like, you're not out there. You're not really practiced. They're not letting you do enough to get you back to your level. So he said a lot of times with these guys, or some people, like a lot of people, they try to play through. He said play through treatment or play your way out of treatment. He said you got to get to the point. You said you're playing your way while you're on the field to show that the training staff and them that I'm fine enough that I don't have to do this now anymore. Like, because guys are like, that's for them, that's torture. They're like going through this rehab process while I'm at the facility, and seeing the guys practice and stuff, knowing I can't really do anything because of I'm still rehabbing this injury. He's like, it's torture all in itself, and it feels like it does take longer. He's like, for a hamstring to fully heal before you start rehab, he said before you're starting to rehab, before you start or repractice / rehab, you need to be down for 8 or 9 weeks. Lamar came back after 4? After injuring his hamstring. And a lot of us believe he injured that hamstring in that Bills game. So he had been playing with an injured hamstring for about 3 or 4 weeks already. He had been playing like 3 or 4 weeks already, then had to get shut down for like 3 games, and then has come back and is still, trying to get himself back to normal. So he is not, I don't even think he's 80%. I feel like Lamar is like 60% at this point. And they're hoping they can just get a little bit better each week with his hamstring. I don't know if it's going to get fully healthy without honestly being able to be shut down. I think as long as Lamar is playing right now, this is what it's going to be. It's not going to get any better. I don't expect him. Everybody's saying Lamar needs to take off, or Lamar needs to, when he see these rushing lanes, he needs to go take off. I don't think Lamar wants to do it. I think Lamar, like a lot of other people, if you play sports, he doesn't not trust his leg right now. I don't think he trusts. I think he's like, if I try to go full speed, I'm going to tear it. I'm going to completely tear it. And then I'm going to be out for the rest of the season and potentially the next 6 to 7 months, trying to rehab this. And because of, how Lamar uses his legs and the speed, he's like, I may never get that speed back if I completely tear it. So he's in a predicament. The Ravens and Lamar are in a predicament right now with that. But when you look at Lamar and how he's playing and how the offense looks right now, right? I think the main reason why the Ravens offense looks the way it does is because the scheme is Lamar. That's why I say, is it Lamar or the scheme? I think the scheme is Lamar. When you look at a lot of these plays, and a lot of us, I think Ravens fans, scratch our heads, and why the Ravens look like, why do they look so bad on offense? Why guys are not running open, guys aren't getting open, and things like that. I think, and I told the guys this, I think before, it feels like they're literally they want Lamar to run around for 5 to 7 seconds per play on passing plays, for the play to break down, and for Lamar to just make a play where a guy can just run open. That's what it feels like. Because we look at when the Likely makes his plays, or when Zay makes his plays, very rarely is he hitting guys in stride. Most of the time, the guys are coming back to the ball, or the guys just, find a space and get open. Lamar gets in the ball, throws it across the field, goes to his body, whatever, and he just finds an open space, and Lamar can go get the ball to them. Very rarely are we seeing Lamar getting the ball out in 2 to 3 seconds. They're not running those kind of routes. We don't see any track routes. We don't see any crossing routes. We don't see any curls, anything to get the ball out of Lamar's hands quickly. No spacing routes, nothing. We don't see them lining up Zay at the line of scrimmage next to a tackle or something, and maybe having a tight end line up, having like Zay like a little bit behind the line of scrimmage, and then having a tight end like over top of him on that side, and he runs behind, the tight end for like a little small screen play to get him in motion. We don't see Then line up Keaton Mitchell in the slot to provide some kind of, an extra wide receiver to get him the ball in space and things like that, which I would love to see. Then use Keaton Mitchell more. If you could keep Derrick Henry in the backfield, but you line up Keaton Mitchell kind of like they used to do Le'Veon Bell. You line up Le'Veon, line him up in the slot and just have him run some short routes and stuff, get him in space. They're still running the same kind of style of offense, acting like Lamar's 100%. And Lamar can just take off. I really do believe that a lot of those pass plays that they have are really pass option plays. They run the guys downfield, and if Lamar doesn't have space to run, he runs around long enough to find guys and get them the ball. Otherwise, I think, honestly, the first option is these are clear-out plays. That explains why there's usually nobody in the middle of the field. They have all their receivers and tight ends running 20 yards down the field. It's a clear-out play. They're hoping that nobody's spying Lamar or something like that, and Lamar just has these wide open lanes that he can just run through, and he can get 25, 30 yards on each run. Problem is, Lamar's not doing that. Lamar's sitting in the pocket because Lamar is like, I'm not trying to run because I'm afraid if I go 100, if I put this leg on 100%, I might completely tear this thing, and that'll be it anyway. So Lamar is like, I'm going to take it easy. But the problem is they haven't changed. They haven't actually created a scheme around this situation they have the Lamar in. They have to treat Lamar right now as a pocket QB. Whether his leg gets right or not, from here on out, they got to treat Lamar like a pocket quarterback. So they got to start developing. Monken and them have to develop some plays now that Lamar's not going to take off, or maybe he might run for 7-8 yards, to go get the first. Treat him like Pat Mahomes. Maybe he'll run for 10 yards and get out of bounds or something like that. But he's not darting up the field 30, 40 yards anymore. He's not doing that. Not on this hamstring. He's not doing it. So they got to figure out a way and scheme up some offense that can fit what Lamar's doing right now. And I think that's what makes good coordinators is that, look, things happen. Guys get hurt, or you have to move some guys around, shuffle some things around, or the ability of a player that you have where the scheme is kind of centered around, where their ability to do things is either hampered by injury or whatever, or age, whatever that may be, speed. And that's what they have to look at right now. We got to get more options for Lamar to get the ball out of his hands quickly. We can't focus on let's run him downfield 20 yards. On top of that, our O-line sucks. Our O-line is trash. Okay. They can't block for more than 3 seconds. They just can't. Lamar's going to get hit and sacked every time. So they got to just get the ball out. They got to work on getting screen plays, some of these little HB angle plays where the running back can come out of the backfield and come out over the middle, the top area, and Lamar can give him the ball for like 5 yards or something. You're going to have to simulate maybe the run game in passing plays or something like that to get Derrick Henry going. I think he had like 10 or 11 carries in that game against the Bengals. It wasn't until later the game really got out of hand. But the Ravens not getting their running backs more involved when it's clear that the passing game is very, very hindered right now is egregious. You got Keaton Mitchell healthy right now. You got your full complement of running backs right now. I just don't understand whether or not utilizing Henry and Mitchell more. A lot of us have said, I think even Mitchell was here, year before. Why didn't you use more pony packages with them on the field together? Like, why are we not seeing that where you're doing a split back formations? I see the Lions do it all the time. They'll have Montgomery and Gibbs on the field at the same time. They're giving the defense different looks so they don't know where they're going. And there's another thing Steve Smith said. He's like, the Ravens are running the same plays out of their same formations all the time. That's why it looks like these defenses are just able to key on things and they're in the backfield so fast because they know what they're doing. He's like, I'm not saying that you got to throw out the playbook. We said what you got to do is you can still run, and this has been talked about a lot before. You can still run different plays out of the same formation. He's like, you can still run a quick slant out of 11 personnel, 12 personnel, whatever. You can still, out of heavy, you can still run those same routes or run those same combinations out of different formations. You just got to disguise things better. I think the Ravens are like, you got to understand that talent on offense, especially on that line, is not good enough where they can just hold up and you can let those routes develop. They can't. They're going to have to start disguising some things to get guys open. But I think also the problem is that it feels like a Harbaugh thing. I don't know what it is about Harbaugh and these offensive coordinators, man. It's like 2 years they're here, they're putting up record numbers, the top 10 offenses, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then by the time they hit year three, year four, the whole bottom falls out. Everything just falls apart. Defenses around the league have figured them out. They can't tweak things in the scheme enough to keep things moving and things like and stuff like that. Or get guys involved. I mean, how many times have we seen guys that disappear in this offense? Where's D-Hop? Why are they not using him? I think a lot of us thought that he was going to be that third down guy, third down receiver. He's going to be a third down receiver, red zone receiver. They don't utilize him. They don't utilize Ted Walker. They don't use Keaton Mitchell the way they're supposed to. Hell, they don't use Derrick Henry the way they're supposed to. With the amount of carries that he's not getting in a single game at this point is egregious. They don't use Likely. I don't understand. I don't get it. Bateman's gone missing. Steve Smith said, he's like, they got to start being a little bit more creative and disguising things. It's like not saying you can't run those same plays, but you can run those plays from different formations. Show them a formation they haven't seen from you before and run it out of that. And then you can go back to that later. I remember Tony Dungy said, well, Tony Dungy would give Peyton Manning like a package, right? Like a basic formation to run out of. And then Peyton Manning could run different things out of it. When he would get to the line of scrimmage and call out the mic and call out who's blitzing and stuff like that, change the hot routes for the different receivers on a certain play or whatever. That's why they would they would get to do more sugar huddles because Peyton would do most of his calls to the line of scrimmage. He would get to the line of scrimmage. He'd tell the guards, hey, you need to pull, tell the guys to pull here. He's telling the receiver X to do this. Or he's telling receiver Y to do this. He's telling the tight end to do this. Telling running back, hey, stay back here and block. Like, you can do different things within the same formation. You can have the same formation. You don't have to say, oh, we're in this formation, we got to run this play. No, you can run multiple things out of a same formation and switch it up and show them a different look and stuff and still run the same play. And once they get figured out, that's it. Y'all got to find a new coordinator. Like, and I think that's. When you say Corey, you said they need to heed Steve Young's message of getting him someone that can unlock his passing and give him weapons. I totally agree. The Ravens need to look. It's not working with Harbaugh anymore in this coordinator. He needs a Ben Johnson type. Look what Ben Johnson's been doing with Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, while he's not having a great year, they're winning football games. He's throwing like 50% completion percentage, which is bad, but they're still winning. He's getting better. I don't know how much better Caleb is going to get, but he's getting better. He looks better than he did last year. Lamar Jackson needs an actual offensive-minded head coach. If they're gonna win, he needs an offensive-minded head coach. But yeah, I think again the scheme is just revolves too much around Lamar running around and just waiting for the play to break down. Like there's no play. The play just breaks down and Lamar goes and makes it happen. I refuse to believe Monken is that bad and he was good with two tight end sets, but here they don't work. Yeah, I agree. Like in Georgia, he used two tight end sets all the time. He had Darnell Washington and Brock Bowers, and he had them on the field both times and used both of them at the same time. So I don't understand why it doesn't work here. I don't know if it's Harbaugh has his fingers, in this playbook or whatever, and he wants to do certain things. I don't know what it is, but it's not working. It's not working. And plenty, look, it would be fine if I could point to another team in this league right now that was like, oh, see, we could be like them right now, that offense and do what they're doing. Every team right now, their offenses this year have barely been up and down all season. Chiefs have been up and down. Lions have been up and down. The Cowboys have been up and down. Everybody's been up and down. Bengals been up and down. All these offenses there, the Colts have been up and down. Like all these offenses that I could easily point to maybe early in the season are now struggling as well. They're struggling as well. That I could point to say they're doing better, but at the same time, the Ravens, everybody says it, right? The Ravens say this all the time. The Ravens have too much talent on that offense to be this bad. You got the speed with Keaton Mitchell. You got an athletic tight end in Tyler Huntley. I mean, in Likely, in Isaiah Likely. You have a possession type tight end, road grader in Mark Andrews. You have a speed guy on the outside like Zay Flowers. You got a deep threat in Des Walker. You know, a route guy like Braitman. Like you're supposed to have everything you could possibly want on offense right now, and it looks like this. It just doesn't look creative. A lot of it's sad to say, like a lot of us have had these discussions. Man, I wonder how likely we're looking under the offense. How Keaton Mitchell would look with somebody else. How Bateman would look with somebody else. Because this has been a hardball thing. This has been a hardball thing. We've had talent here, and they just don't use them. They don't utilize them. They don't. So I don't know what it is. And I said it just doesn't. It feels like, again, going into the bank this Sunday, I feel like the Ravens fans are gonna be on that tension is gonna be real thin. That boo bird is gonna come out real fast if the Ravens go 3-0 in their first possession. Real bad. Like the vibes going into after the bye week was, oh man, if we can just make the playoffs. I don't know if Ravens fans want to make the playoffs right now. Like it's one thing when the offense was doing well before the bye and the defense sucked, and now the defense is good, and now the offense sucks. But at the same time, they said about the defense, it could have been fool's gold because, you know, we got the Steelers coming up with Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf and Jalen Warren. So we're going to see how that's going to look in Pat Freiermuth. They got to play the Bengals again, Joe Burrow. They got to play Drake May, and then how the Patriots offense has been looking right now. They got to go play the Packers, who for some odd reason always have to play better in the last 5 games of the season. We got to go play them, and we got to play the Steelers one more time. So we're going to see what this team is at the end of the season. We're going to see. And like I was telling the guys, the only complete game I have seen from this team was the Browns game, the second week of the season, the Browns game. That's the only complete game I've seen this team put together. They've been bad on special teams. It's every week. It's like every week it's something. It's every week. 5 turnovers in the Bengals game. 5 turnovers. Like, come on, man. 5 turnovers. Like, this stuff is crazy. But you go to some week 13 stories real quick. It's also we just heard news that Colin Murray has been shut down for the season. It sounds very likely that he might be done in Arizona. That I just think his antics aren't. There have been some issues for the last couple of years in Arizona. I think he might be on his way out. He might be done. Week 13, we did see the Packers beat the Lions. Jordan Love, I think, had 4 touchdowns in that game. We saw the Cowboys stun the Chiefs on Thanksgiving Day as well. The Bears stunning the Eagles 24-15. Any other big games? Seahawks shut out the Vikings. The Seahawks are a team. They're going to be a danger. They're not like a great team, but they're a team that's going to be dangerous. And I'm happy for Mike McDonald, man. He could potentially make the playoffs in the first year as a head coach. So really happy for him. The Steelers lose to the Bills 26-7, and the Patriots, put a drubbing on the Giants. When they were out of town, I was watching the game. They put a drubbing on the Giants, 33-15, and so we're getting to a very interesting part of the season. And while I know it's frustrating for a lot of fans, we hope our teams were a lot better. It's going to make for the NFL probably loves it. It's going to be. Not as many teams are going to sit their players, I think, this year, because as they're going week to week, it feels like every week they're like, oh, they have a good win. Next week they have a bad loss. Good win, bad loss. It's been going like that all season. And I think that a lot of these games are going to come down to that week 17, week 18 matchups. A lot of them will be divisional matchups for the division to make the playoffs. So I don't think a lot of teams are going to be sitting guys. To get ready for the playoffs this year. I think a lot of teams are going to be playing their full complement of guys going into the playoffs, which is going to make for good football. It's stressful for everybody else who's a fan, but it's going to be, I think, a good setup for the NFL and what they want to show going into the playoffs this year. Again, there's not a lot of juggernaut teams. I think it was funny the week everybody thought that the Chiefs were back, and then the Cowboys go and beat them on Thanksgiving night. So I mean, yeah, I'd say it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. Very interesting to see how this plays out. Let me get to the Ravens Steelers preview. So right now for the Ravens on their injury report, as of Thursday, Bateman was a full participant on Wednesday, but then limited yesterday. Lamar, but I think he practiced fully today. Lamar was limited on Wednesday, did not practice yesterday, but I heard was back in practice today. Sounds like he's going to play. Tez Walker growing, but he's going to play. Darius Washington, his window is back open, and so is Tavius Robinson. People don't remember, Darius Washington, I think, tore his Achilles beginning of mini camp, and so he's opened his 21-day window. He's been a limited participant, but he maybe not this week, but he could be back next week. Where does he fit into this defense? I don't know, but he was really good for the Ravens. He was really good for the Ravens down that last stretch last year. So I think you'll find a place for him. Maybe put him in the slot, something, rotate him and Marlin or something like that. I think he can definitely be utilized on the field, maybe as an extra linebacker or something. Figure it out. Patavius Robinson said it sounds like he might actually play this week, so it gives another edge rusher to come back as well. For the Steelers, for the most part, I think the only person that said that is out is Derek Harmon. He's hit down with a knee, and that's a big loss for them because they brought him in to stop Derrick Henry. They brought him in to stop Derrick Henry from running the ball up the middle of the field on the Steelers, which is what the Ravens did to them last year in the playoffs. And he's going to be hurt in this game. He's going to be hurt in this game. So, yeah. So, I think, for the most part, I think the Ravens are doing a pretty good injury wise. Nate Wiggins' foot is down a little bit, but TJ Watt had a toe, but he's a full participant. So they're going to have their full complement for the most part. They're going to be out there. I think to keep it short and sweet for this game, the main thing they got to do for this game is run the ball. Passing the ball, I think, is going to be almost near impossible. TJ Watt, Herbig, and Highsmith, I think, are all available for this game. So I just think that they don't have the complement to stop the pass rush there. They're going to have to probably simulate, again, quick passing games. I don't expect this game to be at all a blowout game in any sense, unless there's turnovers. This is going to be a typical Ravens-Steelers game. I think it's going to be a grinded-out game, but it's just going to matter. It's just going to be imperative for each team to, for the Ravens to protect the football for one. That's what they will have to do. Protect the football and to give Lamar easy throws. And again, run the football. Just run the football the right way. Run the football, make it a messy game, grind it out. That's what you got to do. So, yeah, get it done. That's it for me. Let me give my score for the Ravens. The Ravens, I think the Ravens lose this game actually at home. I think it's 20 to 16. 20 to 16. Again, I just don't know if the Ravens will figure this thing out at all. And on the offense, I still don't trust the offense right now to actually get it done. I just don't. And they got to show me. They got to show me. So that's it for me right now. I'll catch you guys later, and maybe all will be back for the next show. So that's it. Peace.